Sorry, guys. I was actually talking in the background, but I forgot to push the go live button. How are you all? Glad you could join me. Yeah. Okay. So, what I was talking about. Thank you all for joining me first. Yeah, sorry I'm a bit late. I forgot to push the live button, but there we go. All right, so we're going to talk about a few things today. I thought we'd talk about supplementing and exercise and things like that as well, training, strength training, and other things on the carnivore diet. The other day Jonathan was talking about on Carnivore Muscle, UK guy. He was talking about a protocol that a lot of carnivores do, or quite a few people have been advocating for this protocol. It's called priming and loading, and so on. Now, a lot of people do this, and they find it helps. So if it helps, then that's good. But for my mind, you cannot force heal your body. It's going to take as long as it takes for your body to heal. So it doesn't matter if you eat. I mean, I think one of the biggest problems, like I did a video on this recently, like 3 big reasons why people fail the carnivore diet. But I have to say a fourth reason would be that when people go onto the carnivore diet, they undereat. They just don't eat enough food, and they're still sort of stuck in when they were having or tracking their macros, for example, like they're saying portions of meat, and so whereas before they'd have the meat, the vegetables, the carb, the rice or pasta or whatever else with it. But when they just go to the meat, they keep the same portions. So in that case, for some people might find that things like a priming protocol might help, but for my mind, it's just they just need to increase their meals or the size of their meals. And you can do it by adding either a big meal, or you can add like a smaller meal. Just eat 2 or 3 times a day. You don't have to go down to just one meal a day just because some other carnivores advocate for that. But that, I think, is going to be far more beneficial than trying to do this priming protocol that a lot of people sort of talk about. Because as I said, you cannot force heal your body. It's still going to take, doesn't matter, even if you do a priming protocol for a long period, it's, I think it's kind of like overeating can be the same as, like on the carnivore diet, can be just as, the same as overeating on a ketogenic or over supplementing. A lot of those nutrients would just be wasted. So that's one of those things that I think a lot of people sort of get wrong when they first start the carnivore diet. And a lot of people still talk about these priming protocols too. So, but I'm just saying I have to agree with Jonathan on this one, because I agree. You just can't force heal your body. When it comes to fasting, and I've said this many times, I think you should only fast when you are comfortable fasting. Don't try and force your body into a state where you think it's, you just get sick of eating, or you just you think that you've healed, and then try and white knuckle a fast. I think you should do it when you're comfortable doing it. Just do it nice and easily. Like it should be just like a second nature sort of thing, and just like if you take in too many nutrients, same as over supplementing, it just gets wasted anyway. So I have to agree. All right, so if you have any questions, I will be talking about everything carnivore if you want, and supplementing hormones, and building muscle strength training and things like that. So, but if you have any other questions and you want to talk about something else, feel free. It's all good. I am drinking at the moment. I am drinking just hot water because it's winter. It's quite cold here. Just hot water with salt, and no coffee or anything like that. So hot water with salt in it, and a little bit of iodine. Nice. Hello, Sandra, Josephine, and Paul. You got both ones done. That's very good. Excellent. Good exercise. Doing the gardening, grass cutting. Good exercise. Actually, that's. Oh, g'day, Aid. How you doing, mate? What bottled water is best for low levels of deuterium? Well, you probably know there is like deuterium depleted water that you can buy, like specifically. I think Sarah Pugh actually, she promotes a brand that's very good. But I think she's in the UK, so I'm not sure about the brand you could get in Australia. But basically, deuterium depleted water is just distilled water, and you can distill water yourself as well. Boiling and reverse osmosis water filters, I think, are the best. And I think when it gets, actually, a lot of people do drink a lot of bottled water because I think that they're avoiding some of the chemicals from tap water, and they are avoiding some. But yeah, a lot of people will buy it in a plastic bottle, which is going to be full of PFAs. And most bottled water that you buy these days, especially if you get it like from a supermarket or anything like that, they also still have fluoride added to them. So for me, I don't bother with bottled water. Okay, so I filter it myself and I boil it and then remineralize it. That's another thing people need to understand too. When you filter water, I mean, most water, even distilled, like even if you buy bottled water, it's not going to have a lot of minerals in it anyway. So you need to remineralize it. So add a good salt to it is gonna really gonna help with your electrolyte balance. Okay. So yeah, distilled water you put in your radiator. Most people put in the radiator of their car because distilled water doesn't have a lot of the other junk that sort of piles up in your water pipes and things like that around your engine and thing, and also for your iron. So it's also good for you. But again, you still have to. I think you still have to remineralize the water. Yeah. 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 I mean, it's always better to get it in a glass bottle. If you're going to drink bottled water, get it in a glass bottle. But again, most of them, especially store-bought stuff, is like you go to Woolworths or Coles or whatever supermarket, most of that has fluoride added to it as well. So you're really not escaping a lot of these chemicals that they put into the water. So even then, I would still filter it, and I would still remineralize it as well. So because you don't know what they've done to the water either, how they've treated it as well. So that's just me. I may be a little bit paranoid, but I suppose it might be certainly better than straight tap water anyway. Doesn't matter where you are. But again, you have to be in a glass bottle. So another thing I was talking about with like priming and stuff like that is, like I said, is kind of like over supplementing. So a lot of people do supplement a lot on, and most people listening here, you pretty much know my stance on supplements. I don't care for them too much because they're manufactured a lot. So it's like a manufactured source of these so-called vitamins and nutrients. So natural source is always best. Plus, the manufacturing itself also makes supplements quite high in deuterium. And a lot of it's plant-based, so it's also going to be high in acrylamide, okay, and less absorbable. The body just can't absorb it, and also these vitamins and nutrients that we're supposed to take in are supposed to help us with our hormones, hormone production and things like that. So I'm really against vitamin D supplement and testosterone and that sort of thing, because these are hormones that we are supposed to produce ourselves. And I think the only things that you should supplement are the things that you can't produce yourself, because everything else you really want your body to produce as much as possible. There are times where it's going to be difficult, where your body can't do it, then you might want to supplement. But I think then you're really just treating the symptom and not the cause. So like, for example, if you're low on testosterone is producing your cholesterol. So for my mind, like, increasing your cholesterol production would be treating the actual cause. So if you see what I mean, like, and vitamin D3, I should say, is the same, exactly the same. So when you take these sort of hormone supplements externally into your blood system, then your body slows down the production of it. So another problem is that both of these are fat soluble as well, because they are producing your cholesterol and transported through with your lipids. Okay, if you are obese, for example, and somewhat sedentary, then these hormones are going to be stored in your fat. Okay, so even if you test low in your blood system, it doesn't mean that you don't have it in your body or that you're not producing it. It just means that most of it is being stored in your fat cells. So it's really about trying to get your body to produce or to extract it from the fat cells into your bloodstream. And the only way to do that is through movement, okay? Because your fat cells, okay, all your fats and your hormones are carried, or they're actually absorbed into the lymph fluid, and then the lymph fluid is pushed around your body when you move, okay? Because it's in your lymphatic system and it needs to be pushed around your body, okay? So that's where, oh, hey, Christy, good to see you again, mate. So that's when, you get it, you absorb it from your fat cells into your lymph fluid, and then you need that movement to do that, because that's what stimulates the absorption. And then, of course, to push that around your body, then you need that movement, because the muscle contraction in your body is what pushes the lymph fluid around. Okay, so it really it shows you that we are built and designed to move. Okay, and even if you are bedridden or like living in a chair or whatever, circulation exercises are really important. So actually, I'll be doing a video specifically on this, like lipedema, lymphedema. These are conditions of the lymphatic system, the same as lymphoma. Okay, like my cancer. So circulation exercises are really important to help with these conditions. You know, lipedema and lymphedema in particular. There's basically what this is trapped fluid in the lower limbs, like in your legs and in your joints, your feet and knees and so on, because you haven't been moving. Like you, for example, you'd be sitting in an office chair or any kind of chair for a long period of time, and that fluid has all gone down. But because you haven't been doing any circulation exercise with your calf muscles, okay, if you're, you know, all those muscles around your ankle and below your knee and below your hips, that fluid just keeps going downhill and just keeps, it just sits there, okay, and that's where the problem is, because you're not pushing that fluid back up to, you know, around the rest of your body. So that's where, you know, you get a lot of these conditions, lipedema and lymphedema and things like that. So circulation exercises are really important. You know, also for strengthening your joints, but you know, I mean, there's always good, you know, a good reason to do these exercises anyway, or movement. Okay. So yeah, that's one of the things I think is very important, and I think a lot of people don't understand when it comes to when they do test these hormones. For example, when they get blood tests done, they will test low because these fat soluble vitamins or hormones, I should say, in their fat cells and not in their bloodstream. Okay, so another good reason not to trust, you know, the blood test, because you really need to, like when they do these blood tests, they really need to take into account your movement and diet and things like that as well. So yeah. Let's see. Good to see you, Christy, Sandra, and everyone else. If you know, if you guys want to join, here's the link. Welcome to any time. And yeah, any questions, please let me know, or even different opinions. It's all good. So, yeah, you want to talk about maybe, yeah, actually, a lot of people also, I find, when they go on a carnivore diet, they've got a lot more energy, and it's really good. It's really good to see so many people have so much more energy and want to get into the exercising and you know, go to the gym and things like that. So I thought we might talk about that a bit as well. Rick, how you doing, my man? Yeah, lymphedema. Yeah, lymphedema, especially, you know, it's really common. It's a very common thing because, you know, largely a lot of people, the population is sedentary. You know, and when they're sedentary, they're just the fluid has nowhere really to go except for their lower limbs and doesn't get pushed back up. You know. Let me see if you DC and aid. Thank you very much, Sandra. I mean, I wouldn't say idiot, but yeah, it's something I wouldn't do. But good, doing an air conditioning service, excellent. Good on you, mate. Yeah, I think, you know, lymphedema is actually a very common condition that because, you know, as you know, the population just gets more and more sedentary. You know, especially now, it's actually becoming quite common in children. You know, along with childhood obesity, lymphedema is also getting quite common because they are sitting down playing games a lot, and you know, like it's just oh, hello, Josephine. It's like I said, if you don't move, that fluid's got no way of getting back up to the rest of the body, so it's going to sit there in the lower limbs. which is really sad to see. You know, you see kids in hospital with this fluid on their joints in their legs because they just don't move. Yeah, it's not good. But of course, you know, doctors, it's always about giving them another pill, you know, rather than treating the cause. Yeah. All right. So, I mean, of course, there's also like other benefits of circulation exercises. Okay. And it's not something that you have to do all day either. It's not like, you know, like even if you do like every half hour, just do like one minute of circulation exercise, just tapping your feet, for example. It's very simple thing. It's just tap your feet. You can really help your body to move that fluid back up around your body. So I think it's very important. Yeah, another thing people like to talk about on carnivore is building muscle and strength training. Okay, people, I think, when they start this, especially when they need to find out, or they need to realize their goals first. Like, do you want to build muscle? Okay, like bodybuilders. Okay, you just want to get big, or do you want to get strong? What are your goals? You know, it's just like with the carnivore diet. If you have a goal in mind, okay, so you want to lose a certain amount of weight or reverse a condition like mine or diabetes or something else, and it's always good to have that goal in mind. Yeah, a reason why. So why do you want to be? Why do you want to go to the gym? Why do you want to be? Why do you want to strength train? Or why do you want to build muscle? That sort of thing. I think it's really important because if you don't have a plan, then you've got nowhere to go. Really, you know, it's kind of like a ship without a rudder. You know, you're just going to sort of spin around in circles. You know, not go anywhere. So. Let me see. My school district has now shortened morning recess to 15 minutes, and that includes breakfast time when they are supposed to play. When are they supposed to play? Yeah. Yeah, that's ridiculous. I mean, they got. I mean, I don't think they need to eat so much all day. Like that's another thing. You know, schools set people up to eat all day as well. You know, like they have like breakfast, or then they'll have like a morning tea, lunch, and then afternoon tea, and then you know you go home and eat as well. So I think they set up bad eating habits at schools, and a lot of schools are actually suffering like that. This is the thing. Junk food companies, they're actually taxpayer funded, which is ridiculous. That's why the schools are full of junk food. You know, schools and hospitals. You know, it's our taxpayer dollars that are paying for these chemical foods. But yeah, I agree, Christy. They need time to get out and move. You know, they have to move. I think that when I was a kid, we were not allowed inside. You know, during break times, we weren't allowed inside the building, so we had to go outside and move. You know, yeah. And of course, we all just went and did sports together anyway. We all played games, you know, like cricket or football or something like that. So we were always moving. But now kids, you know, they're stuck to, yeah, addicted to these phones. They sit in the corner and play, you know, whatever on their phones. You know, it's crazy. No wonder why they have so many childhood diseases now. Could be why I could not sit on the train on the way back. Yeah, yeah. When that lymph fluid's not being pushed around your body, it's not just that either. It's your blood flow. If you are sitting like this, happens a lot on long trips, especially if you're on an airplane. Okay, your venous return, okay, is very important for your blood flow. You know, you have a heart. Your heart is the pump to pump blood around your body, but to get that blood back up from your feet to your, it needs to be pumped by the muscles. It uses the same system as your lymphatic system. Okay, the muscle contraction of your calf muscles. Okay, and moving your legs around, that pumps the blood back up to the rest of your body, back up to your heart. Okay, so on very long trips, it's been known to happen quite frequently. Actually, people will suffer a heart attack because they didn't get blood back up to their heart, and they also I forget what it's called. It's a circulation problem but either way, blood circulation and fluid circulation of the lymphatic system and your blood system. Okay, it's vitally important, especially on long trips when you are sitting down. Okay, so even if you're on an airplane or a train, okay, you will get, and there will be symptoms like stomach pains and even heart pains, chest pains, and things like that. So it's really important to even if you don't have to get up and walk around if you can't, but you can tap your feet. You can move your feet around. I know my buddy's on Ozempic and he has very bad diarrhea. Yeah, I can imagine. I think his stomach might be paralyzed. Yeah. Doctor reckons it's the Ozempic. Yeah. Well, then if he reckons it's the Ozempic, he should take him off it, and yeah, I mean, I don't think anyone should be on Ozempic. I mean, I know there are some people that have conditions where they will have to start on, at least temporarily, go on medications. Okay, but Ozempic is one of the more dangerous ones, so you want to be on that, the least amount of time as possible. I used to want to be muscular, but over time I accepted being skinny and very mobile as I am now. Yeah. Well, I mean, everyone, we've all been convinced that, being overweight. Okay, like there are two forms of overweight. Okay, so like obesity, we tend to think of being fat. Okay, but there's also when you're overweight with overmuscular as well. Okay, so too much body mass. Basically, it just means you're overweight, and both can have problems as well. Too much muscular can also have problems, but we've all been convinced that muscle magazines and TV and all the big heroes are these huge muscular guys, and of course we all want to be like that. We want to be those big heroes, but there's a good example online at the moment. Anatoly, his name is. He's a powerlifter, very lean, very small little. I think he's Ukrainian or Eastern European, anyway. Very strong, and he can lift, as much as some of these very big powerlifters. I am, for my mind. I mean, being big and muscular does help. It does look good at times. You go to the beach and things like that. But for me, I think it's all about movement. Being strong in movement, and in many different ways of moving. Like I like to be able to move any way I can. So if I want to be able to go sideways and up, I want to be able to lift my body and lift weight in without risking my joints. So there's a big difference between like being strong, being a power lifter, being a bodybuilder, and all these different sort of genres of exercise. And like I said, it does look good to be big, I guess. It looks it's still very impressive. It's still a lot of hard work, but I think you need a lot of different kind of chemicals and substances to do that too, depending on your body shape. Like a mesomorph, like my wife is a mesomorph, and she puts on muscle without even trying. Like honestly, like she's very flexible. She doesn't stretch very much, and it's just natural for them. You know, mesomorph will, yeah, they basically they'll look at a gym and they'll put on muscle, basically. You know, and if they eat the right food, they will always be strong. It's just a genetic thing. People like Rick, you know, he's so tall and thin. It's very difficult to put on muscle. Very difficult to put on weight altogether. But he can be very strong, very strong. So, like, just because they look big and muscly doesn't mean that they're powerful either. You know. And yeah, breakfast is sugary. Yeah, so instead of playing, they are going to eat a bowl of sugar. Yeah, cereal. That's disgusting. Yeah, bunch of sugary wood chips and whatnot. Hello, Susan. Thank you for joining me. Please remind him that it is his choice to take prescription meds or not. Yeah, that's true. This is the thing. We've been so convinced by everything that everyone else knows better for our health than we do, and then how we feel, that even if we feel fine, we still take the pills because the doctor told us to, you know. Um, but it always comes down to the fact that it is our choice whether we take it or not. These are basically suggestions. They're not forcing you to take these things. They're just very convincing at telling you that you should. You know, people often want to help me move things, but backward. Yeah, yeah, I'm sure they would be too, mate. I mean, you're very active, even though you can be very, very like thin and very powerful. Especially body to weight ratio. Yeah, like a lot of like competition, like powerlifters and like strongman and things like that. They're really, really strong, but power to weight ratio is a very different thing. How much power can you produce for a small, like for your body mass, for example? There's not a lot of like those strongman competitions. Not a lot of them can actually do like say pull-ups with weight underneath them. I mean, a lot of them can, but not all of them. Um, so things like that. I think that's more important for me, especially. I think it's like I like to be able to move. So Dr. Berry told someone on a live last night that the Ozempic helps curb your appetite to get started on the PhD. Yeah. Well, like I said, I mean, some people may need it temporarily. There's always going to be, depending on where you're coming from, there's always going to be someone who may need medications temporarily. But that's the whole idea of medications. They should be temporary, not lifelong, until you fix, the underlying problem, Yeah. Yeah. It may surprise you. Like, I mean, they have to be safe about what they're prescribing to you, because everyone's an individual coming from a different place. They can't just say on YouTube everyone should just do this, because you never know what problems might come up with that too. So they can't make people take meds, although they try to convince you that you have to listen to them or die. Yeah, exactly. It's the same. The last few years, like they're trying to force everyone. Well, they basically did. Do it or you don't go to work, or do it or you lose your job, or you make everyone else around you like a granny killer and things like that. Just ridiculous garbage. But again, if everyone just said no, it wouldn't have happened either. So there you go. But they're very convincing, aren't they? Especially when they've got media and things like that. Mm. Okay, staying upper body strong has always been important to me. Good. Having such a screwed lower back. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's really difficult, Sandra, and I feel very lucky actually now that I can walk again and move. I am really quite blessed, really. That it, yeah, that they told me I'd end up in a wheelchair at some stage, but I feel much better now. I feel good. Feel very lucky that I'm not actually, and it has been hard work, but there are so many people like yourself that have it a lot worse, I think, in that respect. But we can always do something, can't we? And upper body strong. You see, Paralympics and athletes that have conditions as well that I think it's wonderful. We can always keep moving. At least some part of us, or most of us anyway. I hope. That's good. I'm so lucky. Yeah, all my muscular friends have back problems. Yeah, and bad knees, and I've never experienced any of those things. Yeah, I mean, you've been very lucky. I mean, I think it's good management though too, Rick. You've been smart enough to be to eating this way for your whole life, and you're always active. So a lot of it comes down to good management. It's not so much just luck either. So yeah. Like I said, Rick is one of the most active people I know. Actually, like he's out there all day, every day, sort of doing stuff. He's always moving, and I think it's very important. That's good, yeah. Guys cooking. Yeah. But like I said, figure out what you want to do. Have a goal. Just like with the carnivore diet, when you have a goal in mind, it makes it much easier. But when you start exercising, I think you need to work on a foundation. So like you need to build. I think it's very important to work on your joints first, especially if you're a sedentary person. Even if you like have been like you still working and doing everything your household sort of stuff but you're just not used to a specific exercise. I think it's very good to start with strengthening your joints. Okay, work on your joints first. And I think that when people tell you this is advice that really annoys me, is that when you first start and you're not very strong, people tell you, "Oh, just do body weight exercises. Just do body weight." Do you know how much your body weighs? And you're like, for some people that's very heavy, and for most people, 95% of the population right now could not lift their body weight. Okay, they can't do pull-ups, they can't do push-ups, they can't do exercises that involve their body weight. So I think it's important. If you don't want to go to a gym, for example, you can do exercise at home. And I think bands, like those new like sort of rubber bands, are they're very inexpensive, easy to store, don't take up any space, and they're very cheap. And they're a great way to start if you want to do it at home. If you want to go to a gym, I think that doing pin weight machines are a great way to start because they take away a lot of the stabilizing issues that people have. So if you, for example, excuse me, for example, if you're doing a chest press, all those stabilizing muscles, all the stabilizing part is all done for you, and you just have to push and lower it down, and you have less chance of injury because of the stabilizing. But there's also, with a pin weight, you can gradually incline the weight without overdoing it or and injuring yourself. So I think it's a safer way to do it, a safer way for people to start as well. And I think you should do especially when it comes to strengthening your joints. Slow movements, like slow contraction, and like both concentric and eccentric. So if you're raising it and then lowering it, just a nice slow repetition is safer also for your joints, because when you just jump on and start pumping it out, you're moving your joints really fast. You've got a lot more risk of injuring yourself. Okay, these muscles are not used to these movements, not used to doing it under weight, and so there's all kind of reasons why you're going to injure yourself. So I think that if you do joint exercises at home with bands, I still use bands to do joint exercises every single day. I do this every single day for a warm up, because you need to get blood into those joints before you start doing weight, and to lower your risk of injuries. Okay, and I haven't had any injuries for a long time. And I think one of the worst things that you can do is like sit in a chair. Is like one of the worst things you can do for your back, your hips, and your shoulders. Okay, and that's what a lot of people do. Okay, question. Hang on a sec. Okay. I'm going to be moving more. Would like to do more weights, but my right arm still having pain. Raised up. It's mostly my shoulder. Any tips? Okay. Okay, so there's probably a number of things going on with your shoulders. Okay. If, for example, if you sit at a computer desk, at a desk all day long, and you're right-handed and you're clicking your mouse, for example, all right, you're basically, what you're doing, your back, so you got your shoulders and you got these two erector spinae muscles that surround your spine. Okay, and then you've got rhomboid muscles that hold your scapula back and together. And you've got your upper trapezius on top. Okay, there's a lot of muscles involved here. But what's going on, like if you're sitting at a desk, for example, you were in an isometric contraction all day long. You know, for as long as you are sitting there, you are in an isometric contraction. Right? So this is going to be really painful for your shoulders, and usually around your rhomboid area. I'll have to make a video about this stuff and show you exactly what these muscles are and what they do. But basically, what you need to do is to keep your shoulders moving. Now, there are other circumstances where if you raise your arm up to the side, and you're having pain, like a sharp movement pain, okay, like a stabbing pain, that would be inflammation in your rotator cuff. Okay, and your rotator cuff is actually like a sleeve that sits kind of around the top of your humerus. Okay, and then it's surrounded by all this muscle and other connective tissue. Okay, it's kind of, there's no actual ball joint like the hip sort of thing. Okay, but what happens is that when that gets inflamed, a nerve, like, okay, your humerus nerve comes down here, that gets trapped, and that'll be quite painful. The best thing, depending on what's going on, if it's related to your seated position, for like that isometric contraction pain, okay, that you get let through the middle of your back, and on your right, it'll be on your right or your left, depending if you're right or left-handed. Okay, that isometric contraction, that just needs to be freed up, and you need to get some exercise like bent over flies. Okay, so like if you're raising your arms back, pulling your shoulders back. So let me just change that screen a bit so I can show you. Okay, so if you are having pain in the middle of your back, on the rhomboid area, it's probably from sitting at the computer desk and you've got an isometric contraction, it's kind of like a cramp. Okay, it feels like a cramp, and it's actually what it is a muscle spasm, because you just haven't been moving it, right? So what you need to do is get some movement in there. So just try and stretch that shoulder out, just like that. Okay, you don't have to raise your arm up too high. Just keep that move. If you do that, say every hour for a minute, it's going to make a big difference. Get up, walk around. It's going to help your body move and adjust as well. So you need to walk around. It's also related to sitting down. That isometric contraction. It's really imperative to keep your body moving as much as you can. There we go. All right. A friend of mine injured his back, cleaning out his boat. Another hurt his back picking up luggage. Yep. Yeah, like, it's surprising. Some people, they'll throw their back out, honestly, just bending over and standing up again, not picking up anything, because their body was cold. They didn't have muscle. They didn't have blood flowing to the joint or to the muscle in particular, say in their back, because they haven't been moving all day, So they'll get up, or they've been sitting at a desk all day, for example, and there's no blood flow getting to those muscles because they're just not using them, and they just lean over or bend over to pick up a pen, and they'll throw their back out. It's just a surprise to the muscle that is pretty much dried out, and then all of a sudden it's expected to expand and contract. So 4 kilo kettlebells, cool. But use them from sitting or laying positions. Oh, that's good. Yeah, excellent. Sorry, Beth. Pin weight just means machines where you have a pin that you sort of use to adjust the weight. So like I'll show you a picture. I'll see if I can Google a picture. Pin weight machines are usually very common in gyms. So okay, so let's see. Okay, so weighted machines like this. Okay, these are that little bar thing that you pull out to adjust the weight. We just call that a pin. All right, and you see that around there. Okay, so we call that a pin weight. So you can adjust the weight to suit what you're doing at the time. Okay, your strength and whatever else you're doing. Do you lay on the floor or on the bed? Wherever you're comfortable, I would imagine. If you're doing exercises from the floor, so like it can be easier to do exercises from the floor because you don't have that as much give. So for example, recently a trend is to in the gym, which I think is absolutely stupid trend. So I'm going to tell you that right now. I think absolutely stupidest thing I've seen is people exercising in socks and barefoot at the gym. Okay. When they do deadlifts and squats and things like that, because what it does is it takes away that spongy sort of and sort of feeling, and you you get more force through to the floor. So a lot of people take off their running shoes and things like that. And the same thing with the bed. If you're on the floor, okay, you take away you have more stability for a start, but you also get more force through to the floor, which means that you generally speaking, you can lift a bit more. But when it comes to the gym, talk about footwear. I wear Vans or Cons, okay, like Converse or Vans, just flat shoes, flat rubber sole shoes. They are fantastic for the gym because, one, they're flexible, okay, so you can use it for many different exercises. Two, there's really very little in between your foot and the floor, so you get power to the floor anyway, and there's no give. So it's just like lifting barefoot, really. Three, it's safer because you have that rubber grip. You're not going to slip. Like I've seen people do this, okay, especially when they're lifting in their socks. Lifting floors, okay, for example, like a polished wood lifting floor, okay, it's very slippery in socks, okay. It's a stupid trend, okay. And people that do these things are absolute morons because they think that it makes them look like an experienced lifter, because this influencer did it barefoot in the gym. That makes me look like a good lifter. And that comes to clothes too. When it comes to gym fashion, it doesn't matter what you wear. Okay, like seriously, the clothes are not going to make you a better lifter. All right. I wear rags basically. And I have no problem with movement. I sliced my arm near the elbow last Wednesday on a light fixture, but it's wow. Well, I'm glad to hear you're healing, mate. And yeah, that's actually something I have noticed. Actually, being on the carnivore diet, you do heal a lot quicker. I think that's really cool. Well, I hope you heal continues there, mate. Bed, I have neuromass that are hot to the outside and soft base. Yeah, is crucial. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, there's always got to be a condition where you need to exercise. Some people may need to exercise from the bed, so that's good. Yeah, it would certainly soften the position for you, I imagine. Thanks, Sandra. I started from the bed too. I did. When I first started, I was doing my breathing and ab exercises from the bed. So. Okay, Beth, I'll work on that for you. I do actually. There are a couple of. I think they're still up on my channel. If you have a look at some of my earlier videos, there are some banned videos there for you if you want to have a look. Mostly to deal with your shoulders, actually. So. Screen 12 feet. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, if you can do it, Rick, that's good. Like sitting at a desk is so bad for you, honestly. Yeah, I'll make some more of those band videos actually because I did do a couple of videos. They weren't very popular, but I'll do some more because I'll do that this week. We'll work on ankles and knees, and then work our way up the body because it's ankle strength exercises are also very good for circulation. Like I said, with the blood flow, for example, venous return, but also for lipedema and lymphedema, fluid return for your lymphatic system. But also strengthening the joint is really important, especially for sedentary people and especially obese people, because they have a lot more excess weight on their joints that the joints just can't handle. So It's really quite important. So I'll work on that this week for you. Okay. I'm actually just waiting. There are specific bands that are really good for the joints as well. They're called floss bands. Okay, FLOSS. Okay, so floss, like flossing your teeth. Okay, so the thick floss band, and you can wrap your joint. Okay, to help you with the movement and to add resistance for the movement to give you that circulation exercise. So I'm just waiting on a couple of those bands to arrive, and I'll do a video for you. Okay. Yeah. You're most welcome, Beth. Yeah, very good. It's. Do you have a favorite number, Rick? Okay, we don't use proper body mechanics. No, we don't. I learned about the safety and of moving, bending at the knees, leg muscles, not your back. Yeah. There are exceptions. Okay. Okay. Well, when I was studying in college, one of the erector spinae group. Okay, there are three long muscles that run up both sides of your spine. Okay, now these are the muscles that help give you your posture, of course, and support and protect your spine. Okay. Now, the theory is that these are the only muscle groups in your body that actually switch on and off. Okay. Everything else in your body always has an electrical charge going through it, whether you're using it or not. And because when you are, for example, if you're firing, like if you're straightening your arm, you're using your triceps that's on the back of your arm. Okay, that sort of straightens your arm. But when you curl, okay, you're using the biceps on top of your arm. But when you do that, it doesn't switch. The other one is not switched off. The other one is actually that relaxation, so that when the bicep relaxes, so that your triceps take over and do that. It needs to communicate. The brain communicates to that muscle that, okay, now we need to relax and lower the arm down. Okay, so it's basically an eccentric contraction. You're still in contraction, okay, but it's lowering the arm down so that you don't just flop it down and break your elbow. Okay. So there's always communication there. And I mean, I've seen so many idiots online telling you, oh, it just switches off and nothing happens. They don't communicate with each other. It's utter nonsense. But the erector spinae group apparently is the only muscle group that actually will switch off completely. So what happens is when it gets to a certain angle, okay, the back muscles will turn off. So basically, it's unprotected by the spinae group, and it's usually just relying on your abdominal muscles and shoulder muscles and other muscles around. But having said that, okay, which is where you get a lot of those injuries. When people bend down to pick up a pen, for example, when their muscles don't have any blood flow or any sort of, or they're just cold and they injure themselves. But for the moment, like there are exercises that rely on that curl in your back, and it's called a Jefferson curl. Gymnasts use this. So, but this is an advanced back exercise. It's just like a deadlift, except that instead of when you do a deadlift, your back is supposed to be straight. Okay, so you're just lifting like that. Basically, when you do a deadlift, you're just pushing the hips forward so that they come in underneath, and your knees and your shoulders sort of push out. Everything comes into alignment. But when it comes to a Jefferson curl, The Jefferson curl is basically a deadlift from a. You want to do it as high as you can, depending on your flexibility as well. But you bring the bar up and you curl your back like that. Okay, so it's very, very different. So for my mind, I would like to sort of, I don't know, maybe do some more work on, maybe research into that, because, obviously there's got to be some energy going into the spinate group to protect your back for a Jefferson curl, and, for general population, yes, lift with your knees, keep your back straight. But you can strengthen your back, you can strengthen your lower back, you can strengthen the erector spinae group. I think the stronger your back, the less injury, the less prone, all of your joints. I think when it comes to knee problems, for example, the stronger you are on the back of your legs, like the hamstrings, okay, the glutes and your calves, then the less risk you're going to have of any kind of knee injury. Like downhill skiers, for example, there are exercises that you can do to strengthen your knees, okay? And if you are stronger on the top, so the quadriceps, than you are on your left, on the behind the legs, then you're going to get knee pain. It doesn't mean that you're injured. It's just that you have a muscular imbalance on, from your quadriceps to your biceps on your legs, and the insertion point is going to give you, which is kind of where just below where the meniscus sits in your knee, and that's where it's going to be the most painful, and it kind of feels like an arthritic pain. Okay, so there's a lot of things sort of going on there. I'm not aware of having favorite number, but okay, cool. Never needed stitches from a cut. Oh, that's good. Never had any infection. Yeah, that's quite impressive. To get through your life, especially the kind of work that you do, Rick, to have no stitches or infections is really cool. Me, I've got stitches all over my body. I've got, excuse me, I've got stitches here I had in my hand, as when I broke my bone there. I had to have a couple of operations on it when I was in my 20s, when I was doing a lot of kickboxing. But especially going through treatments, many operations, I've got stitches all over my chest and just below my neck. And some of them actually, they put the stitches in without any sort of painkiller, so they just stitched me up with no anesthesia at all. So yeah, I got stitches all over me. Yeah, degenerative arthritis in back. Yeah, spinal stenosis. I get muscle spasms. Yeah, you're gonna get that muscle spasms pretty hard. If I stand too long, that's horrible. I probably need to strengthen my core muscles. Yeah. I'm trying to stand up and move around more. Oh, that's good, Susan. At least you're trying. This is the thing. The thing is to try and to keep trying. Keep moving. I will be doing a core exercise video as well. Like I said, we're going to start from the ankles and knees and then work way up. So we'll do some core exercises as well. I think it's very important to do core exercises. Even people don't understand, like when you're doing breathing exercises is also very good for your core, because when you do a deep breathing exercise, you breathe into your stomach first, okay, and you expand that stomach as much as you can. Fill the stomach with as much air as you can, and then the lungs, okay, and then you breathe out. When you breathe out, for example, like with the Wim Hof breathing method, when each breath hold, you can relax, and then when you breathe in again and you squeeze that air out, it's a good ab exercise to squeeze that air out as well. I'll have to do some more videos on this to explain it better. But yeah, keep trying, and there are good core exercises, especially for your exercises that don't require bending your back. So like crunches, for example, they require you to bend your back a lot. Excuse me. But exercises for your abs that keep your back straight are really good for your core, especially your transverse abdominals. Okay, your transverse abdominals are the innermost layer of abdominal wall that actually wrap around from your back. Okay, it's the only one that does it. It's everything else is kind of in pieces, but the transverse sort of is inside. It wraps around from your back, it's connected to your hips, and it wraps all the way around the front, and that's mostly responsible for keeping all your organs and everything in place as well. But when you do exercises, so like bracing, for example, okay, if you do proper bracing, you are keeping your back straight. This will basically more utilize the transverse abdominals, okay, because you working the muscles around your back and around the front of your abdominal wall as well. So exercises like that don't require like bending of the back are really good for your core strength, okay, so I'm going to do specific exercises for that as well, because I think that's very important. Actually, I think a lot of core exercises should involve exercises that don't require to bend your back. It's been like 8 months since I have cut myself with a knife. If it's from washing up or cooking, yeah. I was worried going carnivore me and knives. No good. Well, that's good. I think a lot of that, Josephine, could also be that you're stronger in your joints. You're stronger. You have more control, more neural control as well. I've noticed that a lot of carnivores have a lot more neural control. Neural control mean like motor control, and not so clumsy. Like even myself, like before, I suppose I was coming from a pretty bad area, but I used to be quite clumsy. I couldn't hold things properly, but I feel like I have a lot more motor control now too. So yeah, floss bands are really good, and you can get them in different strengths as well. But just start with light ones. Just they're very cheap. Like $20, you can get a floss band for. Anyone can do that. Fast reaction time. Yeah, you will, and have avoided many accidents. Put it together with tape. Yeah, Rick's like Rambo. Yeah, physical therapist taught me to lie on my back, breathe in like you said. Yeah, then hold it for a minute. Yeah, that's a good core exercise actually, and let it out slowly. Yeah, looking forward. Thank you very much, Susan. Yeah, I'll get on that because I really need to do some of that. So we'll do joint core exercise and some more breathing videos because I've done a couple of beginner ones before, and actually, if you have a look on the Facebook challenge page, it's also there still. But I'll do some advanced breathing exercise videos as well, because during the breath hold, I find it's really, really good to do some exercises for your core or push-ups, for example, because it also helps you reset your hormone production, and it's also when you don't have any when you're not actually breathing, it's also very good like isometric contraction for your core. So really, really good. fine motor skills when you say neural. Yeah, fine motor skills and neural control. So yeah, the motor skills all starts from the neural control. So sometimes I just say it that way. Sorry. Oh, that's good, Josephine. Don't even bump into doorways anymore. It's good. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Rick, where Rambo meets MacGyver. Yeah, yeah, very much so. Mm, yeah. So, um, like I said, some of these exercises, I think, like circulation exercise, also, you don't need to do a lot of movement. Okay, so like even just tapping your feet, for example, and lifting your knee, like lift your knee up, and just you can tap your heel instead of tapping your toes. You tap your heel, okay, on the ground. That is also a very good circulation exercise, especially because you're involving your hip and your knees, okay, and your quadriceps and things like that. But I will work on some videos that don't require too much back movement, okay? So I'm going to do some core exercises that keep your back straight and some deep breathing exercises as well for you to work on your core as well. So it's just a matter of kind of putting it all together. So I'm very limited on equipment. So also, yeah, I'll be working on things that you can do to actually put together a cheap home gym as well. So um, let's see, strength training. I think strength training, especially for your joints or anything like that, is imperative for everyone. I think especially if you're a sedentary, not so much if you are very active like Rick, you have an outdoor job or you jobs where you're moving a lot, you probably don't need to worry about it too much. But I think for the general population, we definitely need that sort of thing. The spine, musculature info is why it's so important. Not so reliant. Yeah, I think it's very important not to equipment. This is one of the things. One of the reasons why I hate. And I hated the idea when people told me I might need I'm going to need a wheelchair. In Australia, there are so many people that are relying on those mobility scooters. Okay, this is something I've always hated. When I was coaching, when I was I had teams and clients and things like that. When they have an injury, they wrap it and they keep it wrapped. And there's like sports bands and things like that they put on their elbows and their wrists and things like that. For my mind, these things do more harm than good. Okay, when you have equipment doing the work for you, okay, it's that same old saying, like you use it or lose it. Okay, even though you have an injury, these braces and things like that, these are a temporary measure. They should be a temporary measure. Okay, because what happens is that you will suffer a lot of atrophy. You have and I know some people can't avoid these things, but Sandra, you're a good point there. These back braces, if you rely on these things for too long, you are suffering a lot of atrophy of all those muscles that eventually you'll be too weak to do for yourself, and then you'll have no choice but to either strengthen it or go through rehabilitation, which will cost you a lot more money, or rely on the brace for the rest of your life. Okay, so you end up with weak joints again. So I really think it's a dangerous habit to start relying on equipment that does the job for you. Okay, and you notice, like with some of my videos, like when I'm exercising, for example, I don't use those powerlifting belts. don't use a lot of wraps or anything like that, because I want strength in my I want the strength in my body to do the job for me. Okay, I want my muscles to work for me. I don't want to rely on too much on things that will, do the job for you. And that's exactly the same as what I was talking about with supplements before. You don't want to say for example, testosterone replacement or hormone replacement therapy. You don't want to introduce these manufactured hormones to do what your body is supposed to do. You want to fix the underlying problem. You want your body to do what it's supposed to do. Okay, so that, for my mind, that's always been there for me. Like I've never liked a lot of equipment when it comes to especially when it comes to clothing and bracing, whether it be for your joints or your back or anything like that. So I think you strengthen your body to do what it's supposed to do is always more important. Okay. I live in a cluttered home full of dangerous items, and have never been hurt at home. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to agree with you, Rick. Like, it's so-called safe places that they think that, like office spaces, for example, they have all these, cheap, dodgy equipment and things like that and like I said, like machines and things like that they're supposed to do the job or take the place of the job that your body's supposed to do. They cause more problems than anything. Okay. Shouldn't be used in extreme situations. Yes, exactly. Braces, should only be used for extreme cases and temporarily at best. Hopefully temporarily. Yeah. When if I do get a joint injury or muscular injury, I still use it. I still work with it. I just modify the movement. I modify the movement so that I don't aggravate the injury, but I am still strengthening the joint or the muscle group around it. So there's always a way that I always try and find a way that I'll move without making the injury worse, but still keep the strength training going. Hey Mandy, just wake up. Yeah. 1:25 a.m. Oh, you're up early. Yeah. Ducks, yeah. Yep. Good morning. Early, very, very, very good early morning to you, Mandy. Yeah, I will be going soon, but so if you have any questions, please get them in. Another good benefit to joint or any kind of strength training is your motor control, like we were just talking about before. Josephine, I think you're saying like less prone to injuries because you have better motor control. That I think also comes with the carnivore diet, because you are I think you're firing a lot more neurons. I think everything just feels to be, it just seems to be firing a lot better. I have much better coordination now too since being on the carnivore diet. But strength training is also very, very good for motor control. Okay, so I know a lot of people say, "Oh, you see this big fellow, like he can't control his strength," sort of thing. But they'll actually have more more control than you think. Less chance, of course, with better motor control, you have less chance of injuries as well. So the longer you do it, okay, the not only stronger your joints or the stronger your muscles, but the less chance of injury, due to the fact that neurologically motor control is much better. Okay, so there's a lot of, which also again helps you think better. Okay, so people who exercise do think better than people that don't. Okay, because your brain is firing all these. You're getting ketones again, especially if you're fat adapted. Obviously, it's going to be much better ketone wise. But you're getting much more electrical activity throughout your body, especially if you're doing other things like grounding, getting sunlight, eating the proper human diet. Okay, so you got lots of fats, good cholesterol levels, and ketones to the brain. Okay, so of course it takes more than just food and the grounding and everything like that. You need movement. Okay, because these again. This, ketones and everything, this is all transported in your lymph fluid, okay? Hormone production and everything else all relies on your lymphatic system, okay? So in movement and strength training is so important for that, because especially strength training has far more benefits than other types of sports, because like the heavier the contraction, okay, the more strain, like time under tension or the time under load from your muscles. Okay, obviously you're going to get a lot more movement. Okay, and it will last longer because the muscles will be firing for the rest of the day. So if you exercise early in the morning, your body will be warm and firing all day long, for example. And specifically, they have. It also increases your what they call insulin sensitivity. Okay, so like because your blood glucose stores and things like that, it's all working just so much better. It really is. But for my mind, like any kind of exercise, any kind of movement is good. I think that the best kind of training you can do is a combination of plyometrics and heavy lifting. This develops more power, and I'll show you some examples of that soon, where I like to, for example, you don't need a lot of weight to do a heavy lift. So you can do light squats, so 100-kilo squats, all right? And then when you finish the set of squats with the bar or leg press or whatever, then do some jumping exercises without rest. Okay, I like doing that kind of training. It develops a good fitness level. Okay, it also develops good control for another, but also power development. Plyometrics, nothing else compares for power development, like power to weight ratio, power development. Nothing else works as well as plyometrics, because when you jump, for example, and you land, you are putting 4 to 5 times your body weight onto those legs, onto those muscles and those joints. So plyometrics are fantastic work. So I always like to use plyometrics. No, I always do with my athletes as well. So I think it's imperative, but that's for more advanced movements. So we can talk about that sort of stuff later on as well. So I have a friend I've known since '93 and was a bodybuilder and still works out. That's good. He's been on the carnivore diet since '98. That's good. And has no chronic health issues. He's a younger, shorter. Cool. I still blows my mind, just how miraculous the human body is. Like it regenerates, all day, every day. And if you give it the right food, it's absolutely amazing just how resilient it really is. And it still blows my mind just how the last couple of 100 years or so, we've, how evil this, the food supply and everything is that's going on around the world at the moment. But at least we are part of the awakening. We are part of showing the world part of what's been going on, And I think that's important. Everyone needs to know your story. Hey, Mandy in South Carolina, you say, question. Dizzy, thoughts on MCT oil for energy or anything else? That's something I did think about. Actually, I did look into when I was going through treatments. And afterwards, I was trying to look for things that could help me get moving again, things that could help me with the severe IBS and other things. I have seen that. I mean, I have seen benefits from MCT oil. I can't lie about that. But I think it's again, it's kind of like a temporary thing, like it's like a medication or a supplement, I guess. But it's I mean, it's plant-based. So how many nutrients are you really going to absorb? I mean, the fact that it's oil, I like, because I think that a lot of our nutrients, our nutrients come from either water soluble or fat soluble. So we absorb more that way, which is why another reason why seed oils are so bad for us, because we absorb them and they poison us. But I don't think there's actually a lot of nutrients in MCT oil that is good for us long term, like hormone production. I don't think there's anything in it that will. I mean, it might help with chronic problems, or acute problems. Like it might, like a sedative sort of thing effect. I think it's kind of more like a sedative effect. Again, I don't think it's going to help in our hormone production, okay, because it's not something that we've naturally evolved to, like over the last million years or so. It's not something that we have evolved to incorporate into our diet. So I don't see how it's going to help in our hormone production or in the general homeostasis of our bodies. Okay, so it might have an effect, like an acute condition. So I have seen it with epilepsy, for example. I have seen kids with having an epileptic fit, an epileptic fit, or a Tourette's fit, and they injected it, they gave it to them anyway, and it sedated them. It calmed them down. So it sedated them. Basically, it's like a sedative. But when it comes to actually treating the condition itself, like Professor Seyfried first started doing ketogenic work with epilepsy, for example. Okay, so just being on the healthy ketogenic diet with intermittent fasting and things like that actually helped the condition, the cause of the condition. So yeah, I can see some people will definitely see a benefit of MCT oil, especially when you like in an acute situation where you will see a benefit like in like that sort of effect. But long term, like actually treating the cause of the problem, I don't think it would really have anything to offer, honestly. I could be wrong. Don't get me wrong. I don't know a whole lot about it, but it is something that I did look into many years ago. But that's just my thoughts on it at the moment. Anyway, later on, I might change my mind. It might, if I have a look at better evidence, I guess. Cool. Yep. Cool. All right. So, all right. So that's an hour and a half or so. So we might wrap it up, guys. Unless you have any other questions, we might get going. But I will try to get onto those videos for you. And Yeah, I mean, when it comes to supplements, again, just a quick wrap up. I think that there are problems. Some people might need to supplement at like acute situations. Long term, I think don't replace things that your body is supposed to produce itself. Other things, a good mineral salt again. Everyone, you pretty much know how I feel about supplements, but I am, however, having said that, I am trying at the moment. Something I am trying is the cereal products, which I've been thinking about for a while. I'm actually started this month, so I am trying the Stem Enhance from cereal, and the Active and the Plasma Flow. The reason I am trying these is, well, one, because I trust Bart K, but it sounds very interesting to me because I was on a similar product to help stimulate stem cell production when I was going through my first lot of treatments, which gave me very, very strong, viable count of stem cells. So I'm interested in that respect. But there are other ways that you can stimulate stem cell production as well, through fasting, for one, but it needs to be a prolonged fast for stem cell production, unless you do dry fast as well. Dry fast will get you there faster. Okay. And heavy lifting. Again, heavy lifting has great benefits, I think, for your whole body, but also for your stem cell production and other things. Okay. All right. I will talk to you again soon. Thank you all for joining me. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate you coming along and talking with me, and supporting the channel. I really do appreciate that, everyone. So thank you very much, and we'll talk again soon. If you have any more questions, please leave them in the comments, and I'll get back to you as soon as I can. All right. Hope you all have a wonderful day or week or life, wherever you are. Okay. Take care.